What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be bringing you guys another coaster review, and today I'll be reviewing Superman the Ride, the Intamin Mega Coaster at Six Flags New England. This is an awesome ride, and today I'll be going fully in detail with this coaster, but first let's start off with the stats. So Superman the Ride has a height of 208 feet, or 63 meters, a drop of 221 feet, or 67 meters, which actually goes through an underground tunnel. That's why the drop is taller than the height. It has a top speed of 77 miles per hour, or 124 kilometers per hour, a track length of 5,400 feet, or 1,600 meters. It has a duration of 2 minutes and 35 seconds, features no inversions, and has a max vertical angle of 72 degrees. And it is, of course, manufactured by Intamin. So those are some really decent stats. So now I'll be getting into the theming and just kind of the overall first impressions for the ride. So I want to first start by saying that the location of this ride is actually kind of interesting. It's actually at the bottom of the hill, and there's two ways to really get to this ride. One is near DC's Superhero Adventures over near Thunderbolt and Scream, and the other way is over near Kidzopolis. There are two staircases that you have to go down to get to this ride. That's kind of interesting. It's really one of the only few things down over there in that section, but it's pretty cool once you get down there. There used to be a ride off to the left, a chance wipeout called Kryptonite Glider. I think they removed that, but I'm not totally sure. And then you have like Cyborg off to your right, and actually like right next to the ride, it's pretty cool. You have some like other like little shops like the Daily Planet, and there's like another store that's kind of mixed into the theming, which is kind of cool, like in the Superman universe. I just think that's cool that they did that. Once you actually go into the queue, first of all, I need to mention this ride does have lockers. That is a bit unfortunate, but whatever. And they're right near the entrance. Once you get into the queue, there's really not much theming, but you do get some good views of the ride. There are some canopies for shade for when it gets hot, which is nice. There's really not much theming in the queue. It's just a regular queue line. And even the station, there's really not much theming, but it is kind of cool how you can see they have like all the golden ticket awards that this ride has won up on the wall of the station, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a decent amount of theming. There's some theming to the ride, but I'll talk about that later. But overall, the queue and just the area around this ride is pretty well themed, like outside of it. Kind of this whole DC area with Cyborg and stuff. But, like, the queue is not very well themed, but once you get into the station, you're gonna get into the train and then pull down your lap bar, which has these annoying U-bricks. This is the only ride to have them. It actually has to have them because apparently it's illegal for it to have T-bars because it had an incident a while back when it had T-bars. When they converted it into Bizarro in 2009, they switched it to the U-bricks. They're a little bit annoying, but they're not the end of the world. And you'll get into the train and you'll start your ride. Alright, so for the layout, you're going to come out of the station and then go into the lift hill, which is actually one of my favorite lift hills. It's really, really cool. You get an amazing view of the Connecticut River off to your left, and it has Superman music playing on the lift hill, which really builds anticipation. You get a great view of the park off to your right. It really is like the Millennium Force of the East Coast, how you can just see a huge body of water off to your left. The view is just amazing. This used to have onboard audio when it was Bizarro, and it played some stuff when it went up the lift hill. They since got rid of it, but they still have the music on the lift hill, which is pretty cool. So it's overall, it's a really nice lift hill. Usually they don't talk during the lift hill, but I just had to mention this because this is honestly one of my favorite lift hills. It's just really cool. And it is decently fast. So at the top, you're going to get a great view of the park. And you're going to go into your first drop, which is really nice. It has a bit of a straight section, but it's a really fun drop. In the back, you get whipped over. The front's good, but the back is just incredible. You dive into this underground tunnel, into your first airtime hill, which absolutely whips you over in the front. It's pretty sustained, nice camelback hill. In the back, it's definitely more floatery, but it's still really fun. And then you go into a pretty intense overbank turn with some nice forces. And then you're going to fly past some little building, like theming elements, which were changed when this was converted to Superman from Bizarro. But they look pretty cool. That's really the only theming during the ride. So then you're going to do a little dip into these two camelback hills. The first one's really great ejector, very strong pop. It's actually a little bit sustained. In the back it's good, but in the front it's a lot better. And then the second one is called the It Happens hill. It just absolutely ejects you over. It is just crazy strong. One of my favorite airtime moments, maybe my top 10 airtime moments. I'll go link that video down in the description if you want to go watch that. This hill is just crazy. And you go into this big twisting, like, kind of floater hill. Those doesn't really give a lot of airtime. It's really drawn out, but it's kind of cool. You get a nice view from the top because you kind of slow down. And then you'll turn into this pretty intense helix, which kind of dives towards the ground and comes back up into this twisted airtime hill. Great pop of ejector. And then to another helix, which is some really good laterals and some good intensity. It's fairly long lasting and it's really fun. You're going to go into a twisted airtime hill into this iconic tunnel dive, which is really cool. Everybody takes pictures of it. It's such an iconic element, and for a good reason. It's a really fun element, and I love diving into the tunnel. Which they sometimes have mist on it, which is pretty cool. So then you'll go through the tunnel, and then you'll bank, and then go into this little drop, which gives a tiny bit of airtime, but not much. And then to these nice camelbacks, which get some pretty good airtime. You get two of them, and then you'll do a right turn, and then you'll hit. Actually, you won't just hit. You'll slam into the brake run. It has a lot of speed going to the brake run, and that's pretty much the layout for the ride. So Superman the Ride is just an awesome coaster, and it really shows with all the awards this ride has won. I mean, it was voted the best steel coaster in the world in 2003, 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009. And it's actually been ranked in the top 10 steel coasters every year since it was built by the Golden Ticket Awards. And I mean, this was really the ride that put the park on the map back in 2000 when Six Flags acquired the park, and it's still one of their star attractions today. It's definitely one of their top two coasters there with Wicked Cyclone. I do prefer Wicked Cyclone just a little bit more because it's more of a out-of-control ride, but this is just an amazing coaster. It's one of the best traditional hyper coasters out there. It's just got great ejector airtime. It's got some more sustained moments, got quicker pops of airtime, but there's just lots of good airtime. You have those awesome twisted hills and just those big camelbacks, which are pretty sustained. Even the ending is some good airtime. It's right, some great forces like on the valleys and some of those elements, like between airtime hills, just like El Toro. As you get pulled into those valleys, you get some great forces, especially in the back, and on that overbank, and in those helixes and some of those turns at the end on the second half of the ride, that Spaghetti Bowl. What those helixes are definitely pretty intense and really fast, and that one helix is really long lasting before the tunnel dive. And this ride is it's a super long ride too. I mean, the duration's like 70 seconds from drop to brakes, which is insane. It's got well over 5,000 feet of track, so it's just a very long ride. It really feels like a long ride too. It's got an awesome drop. It's just got some great elements. It's got such a good layout. One of the best layouts of any coaster out there. And, for not having any inversions, it's just a really fun ride. The restraints could use some work. They're not they're not the worst restraints I've ever experienced on a coaster, but they're not great. They do kind of restrict the airtime. I mean, Skyrush, yeah, kind of does too, but honestly, I like those restraints more just because it allows for the wing seating. But these restraints, I mean, they could use some work. I wish they could do the T-bars, but they can't. But they're overall not the end of the world, but they are a little bit painful in the station and on the brake run. They do restrict the airtime, but you just still get some great airtime, like that first camelback, the second and third camelbacks, and those twisted hills. Great airtime. This thing really keeps its speed. It's a very well-paced coaster. Really, the only part where it slows down is that big floater hill in the middle, but honestly, it's not the end of the world. This ride also has some pretty good theming. Like, as I mentioned, it flies through some buildings during the ride. And there's also, I forgot to mention, some rings you go through after that It Happens till that third camelback hill, which have some mists and stuff. That's where it takes your on-ride picture, which is pretty cool. It's a very smooth ride. I definitely prefer this in the front. In the back, of course, you do get pulled into those valleys more. And I honestly thought the helixes and bank turns were more intense. In the back, as you get pulled through them more, and you get pulled into the valleys and pulled over the hills. But I like the more violent airtime as you get thrown over the first half of the hill more in the front as opposed to the back. The first part of the hill is weaker, but you get more sustained airtime over like the rest of the hill. Or just like that violent sensation of ejector on the front row. And the view is amazing on the lift hill, as I mentioned. I didn't get a very front row on this, but I can compare because I got a second row ride. I got 2 rides on this, once in second row and once in the back. I would have done more, but my phone was like getting really low on battery, and I just kind of wanted to leave. But yeah, this ride is just awesome. It's definitely a great number 2 at this park. This park is such a good top 2 with Wicked Cyclone and Superman the Ride, an amazing Intamin, Mega, and an awesome RMC. It is one of my favorite Intamins. I think it's definitely my top 10 Intamins. I'm not sure if it's in my top 5 Intamins, maybe though, but it ranks around my top 15. I'm not sure if it's in my top 15, but it's definitely around there. It's just an overall great ride. It's very well rounded. Really, the only complaints is that the restraints could use some work. That's about it. I love the underground tunnels too. It's just such a long ride. It's very intense. And yeah, I can't wait to go back to Six Flags New and get some more rides on this. It's just one of my favorite coasters of all time. It's just one of the best Intamins, one of the best hyper coasters. And it's just a fantastic ride in general. It's great. So for final score, I'm going to give Superman the Ride a very good 95 out of 100. It's a near perfect ride. It's just I prefer some coasters more because it's not the most intense ride out there. Not as intense as like Skyrush or Maverick, but that's why I like this more. But it's still a very good ride. Great airtime, great first drop, great, pretty intense moments, and it's just a very long ride. And it's just such an iconic coaster too. It's one of the most iconic coasters out there. And yeah, it's just a very fun ride. So that'll be about it for my review of Superman the Ride. What do you guys think about this coaster? Leave those thoughts down in the comment section below. So that'll be about it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.